Wow, what a nice introduction. Thank you, Dr. Dalrymple. I sound a lot more impressive than I feel today. Fellow graduates, professors, families, and friends, as you've just heard, my name is Emily Holt, and I am honored to be here and to be speaking to you all today. I've been at Columbia College for a number of years now, and like many of you, today is a bittersweet day for me. It's wonderful to see our accomplishments come to fruition, to finally see our hard work paid off, although our student loans probably won't be for another 30 or so years. And while today is a day for celebration, it's tinged with sorrow as we say goodbye to friends, faculty, peers, and staff members. I think there's a tendency for commencement speeches to want to summarize the college experience, to wrap it up into a neat package and put a bow on top. I believe that to simplify our experience at Columbia College would be a mistake, but I also believe it would be a mistake to gloss over it entirely. I've spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to say here today, how to make sure that this speech is inclusive, but not too generalized, inspiring, but definitely not cheesy. And I wanted it to reflect the significance, the importance of this day without being too formal. I am giving this speech today, but it isn't about me, as much as I might want it to be. So I asked myself, what does the Columbia College experience look like, and how does one go about summarizing it? It isn't the nights we stayed up late, studying for tests or writing papers. It isn't the caffeine we consumed or the naps that we took. It isn't the times that we broke down or questioned our abilities. We did all of these things and probably a lot more, but they are not what made our college experience. We made our college experience, all of us here together. Students and faculty and staff, but also friends and family. Yes, we are here to honor the academic achievements of individual students, but let's not make the mistake of thinking that we're alone in this celebration. I'd like to share a quote from one of my all-time favorite authors from a book you've probably never heard of called Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. One of the characters, this wacky old guy named Dumbledore, imparts a pearl of wisdom onto the young protagonist. He says, "It is our choices, Harry, that show what we truly are, far more than our abilities." That's an important lesson to learn, that the choices we make have a greater impact on the kind of person we become than our natural abilities do. As students, we made mistakes and learned from them. We asked our professors, sometimes even begged them to go easy on us. We participated in classes, asking questions and offering answers. But make no mistake, to be a successful student does not mean you have to have a 4.0 GPA. A successful student is anyone who learns from their mistakes, who sees failure not as a flaw, but as an opportunity to grow. It is that choice to not let fear or defeat keep us down that determines who we are. As I look around the room today, I see a lot of familiar faces, and I think that that's true for most other graduates. You know, it's funny, we live in such an individualistic society that we often credit people for their successes as if they accomplish them single-handedly. We talk about life like it's some path that we walk alone, but that isn't true, not even for the most independent of us. When things get tough, when we feel overwhelmed and begin to doubt ourselves and question the paths that we've chosen, we turn to our people for help. Our people, the ones who support us. They're our families, our friends, our professors and staff members, Amy, the barista at your local coffee shop, who has perfected the foam-to-liquid ratio in your morning latte. And there's a good chance that they're in this room with us today, except for Avi, she had to work. They're here and they're doing what they do best, supporting us. It would be imprudent of us to pretend that a single one of us could have earned this degree without the love and enduring support of our people. There's a well-known saying, "It takes a village," and while it's typically said in reference to raising a child, I believe that it applies here too. It takes a village to accomplish something this exceptional. We are social beings. We need our people. We need them to offer advice when we're at a crossroads, to provide an ear when we need to vent our frustrations and our worries, to provide a shoulder to support us in times of weakness, to place a hand on our backs to guide us when we falter, to share their love for us even when we think we might not need it. Our people are there for us, even if they can't all be here for us today. There's a reason that we have support networks. Some, like family, are with us from childhood, but others, we grow and seek them out, like friends. Why do we do that? The answer to that question will inevitably vary depending on the kind of major you ask. Fortunately, I'm a philosophy major, so my answer is objectively true. You see, one of the things that makes human beings unique is our ability to think about things in ways that other animals, like cats and dogs, simply can't. We analyze the past in an attempt to understand the present. We live in the present, and yet every moment creates a new present so that we are constantly moving into the future and never quite able to grasp it. Every single one of us in this room has at some point experienced the overwhelming fear and anxiety that comes when we think about the future. Each of us has at some point stood alone, perched on the precarious edge of destiny, looking to the past to see where we've been, to measure how far we've come, all the while hoping for some clue as to where we might go. But the future is hidden in a mist of what-ifs, revealing itself to us one moment at a time. What lies in the mist? Is it our greatest hopes or our greatest fears? These are the kinds of questions that our pets never think about, probably because they're too busy taking their 7th nap of the day. This creativity, this ability to imagine what lies ahead, to consider what will happen if I follow path A versus path B, it's a unique ability. In 1906, a young Winston Churchill said, "Where there is great power, there is great responsibility." He was talking, of course, about political power, but I believe the truth of that statement extends beyond that. We have the ability to think about our actions and their potential consequences, and that means, well, it means that we're wholly responsible for every decision that we make. And that's kind of a terrifying thought. And it reminds me of my very first philosophy class, Introduction to Philosophy with Dr. Mark Price. We were discussing what makes us human, namely the concept of free will. Moral philosophy commonly holds that human beings possess free will, while other species, like our pets, cats and dogs, don't. As we were sitting in class one day, Dr. Price asked us to think about a house cat. He asked us to imagine what it would be like to live the way they do, sleeping and eating and napping all day, but never having the ability to choose anything, never being able to daydream or wonder or to plan for the future. He asked us whether we would be willing to give up our freedom and rational thought to live the cushy life of the modern house cat. He presented this situation to us knowing, of course, that we would say, "No, Dr. Price, we would not sacrifice our free will, the thing that makes us human, to live as house cats, no matter how easy that life might seem." To Dr. Price's surprise and chagrin, that was not the response he got. In fact, we unanimously voted in favor of living as cats, although some students did clarify that given the choice, they would prefer to live as dogs. We would absolutely have sacrificed our freedom for a life of naps and treats. It's obvious now, looking back, why the thought experiment failed that day. We were college freshmen, feeling completely overwhelmed with the future, plagued with seemingly endless choices along with homework and tests and obligations. So to be presented with the opportunity, the option to not have to choose a major, to never have homework again, to be free forever from the inevitable question at Thanksgiving dinner, philosophy, what are you going to do with that? On top of getting to take naps and be fed treats all day? I'm sorry, Dr. Price, but you really set yourself up for that one. The purpose of the exercise was to come to understand that while a life without these worries might seem ideal, it would be dampened by the loss of freedom. Without free will, Without the ability to contemplate our lives and the world in which we live, we would lose everything that makes life worth living. Art, music, poetry, Netflix. And yes, we would lose all of the negative things like anxiety and disappointment and ads before YouTube videos. But those things are necessary in order to experience the good. They provide the scale by which we measure our happiness. So while, yes, we've been burdened with being fully aware of and responsible for our existence, with that understanding comes a profound freedom too. We are not bound by any trait or gene or prior choice that we've made. Who we are is who we have been, but who we will be in the future, that depends on what we do now. And this is why we need our people, because without them, this would just be one long and lonely existence. So, fellow graduates, I ask each of you to take a moment today to thank your people for the encouragement and support and guidance that they've provided. And to all of my own people here today, please come and find me after the ceremony. I will be the one in the Navy cap and gown. Congratulations, class of 2018. As Michael Gary Scott, regional manager for Dunder Mifflin, once said on an episode of my very favorite sitcom, The Office, "May your hats fly as high as your dreams." Thank you.